Hey everyone, welcome back to episode 2 of Horns Up, your weekly heavy metal conversation. I am your host, Dan Kaplan. With me as always is my good friend Corey Butterworth. Corey, how's it going?
It's good. It's not as grim and frostbitten up in here in grim and frostbitten New Hampshire, and I find that repulsive. But aside from that, things are good.
It only took till April, but I guess spring has sprung. Of course, after 70-degree days in a row, we go back down to the 50s and rainy and rumors of snow in some parts of the Northeast in April. Go figure, right?
That's...
we didn't get enough of that over the first 3 months of the year. Let's bring it back.
Just one more because fuck you. Yeah, I don't know.
Oh man. Well, I know we have a really exciting show today. A number of albums dropped, including one that we were really excited about, which we will get into later. Mm-hmm. But before we get into that, let's start us off with some headlines. A lot of news in the last couple of days. Most notably from the AC/DC camp. A bit of unfortunate news. Coming out this morning with rumors that the band is going to be canceling their 40th anniversary tour, may have to call it a day.
Yep.
It's kind of a shock. We had Malcolm Young, the rhythm guitarist, is rumored to have suffered a stroke, and apparently the prognosis wasn't good for his guitar playing ability.
Right. Basically, from what I understand, people can recover from strokes, but right now his chops are just not where they need to be.
Right.
And the timetable obviously won't allow for this most recent, I think it was like 40 plus cities, 40-day tour, 40th anniversary tour, which is just mind blowing to me. But his chops aren't going to be up for that, and he is kind of the driving force behind AC/DC, and he has been. So that's kind of why they're entertaining the idea of just calling it good at this point.
Yeah. Everyone thinks of Angus when you talk of AC/DC, but the fact is Malcolm is every bit as important. Widely acknowledged as one of the best rhythm guitarists ever.
He wrote most of their hits. Yeah, he wrote most of their hits.
Wrote a number of their big songs. I just the news like this makes me appreciate seeing them on the Black Ice tour back in 2009 that much more. As you said, the band just celebrated its 40th anniversary. It's a hell of a career either way, but you'd like to see them go out on their own terms,
Agreed.
Hate to hear this happen to Malcolm Young. Hope he's okay. And again, nothing official out from the band yet. These are all just rumors, but pretty widely circulated rumors. So, we will certainly keep posted on that and hope for the best.
Yeah.
But at any rate, coming up next, we have some album announcements this week. Some interesting album announcements from a number of artists that we like. Number one being In Flames, coming out with an album called Siren Charms.
All right. Here's the thing about In Flames. They're legends. I love the band. They've written probably some of my favorite songs that have ever been released. Going back to Clayman. The Clayman days, etc., etc.
Going back before Clayman, I'm talking Jester Race, Horacle.
Horacle's probably my favorite album by them.
Yeah.
No, it's really they've done some amazing things. Colony, obviously the last few albums, a lot of the traditionalists, a lot of the purists for death metal are gonna hate them, and they do hate them. I have a weird kind of guilty pleasure in Sounds of the Playground Fading. Deliver Us is just too catchy to ignore. They do some interesting stuff on the album, and it's just, if you take it, and I try to do this with every album I listen to, but if you try to take it as an individual entity and not compare Sounds of the Playground Fading to Horacle, you might enjoy it a little bit more. And that's what I try to do with this band now, because they are just, they evolve and progress in significant ways with each album release. Each one is like its own little entity, which is kind of cool. Obviously, sense of purpose, not many like come clarity, etc., etc. There were still moments of those albums I enjoyed, and I'm excited to put out a new album. I still like them. I still like seeing them live. I still am entertained by their sound. They can write songs. What I'm more curious about is what they're going to do with their new label, Epic
Records.
Yeah.
That's an interesting development. I remember when we first noticed that, you were saying, the death metal purists are gonna run away. And I'm like, well, the death metal purists ran away
a while ago
when Reroute to Remain came out. Let's be honest.
I still like that album though.
Oh, it's a great one. Cloud Connected is a fantastic track.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm with you. You know, I think it'll be interesting to see. I was with you. I did like the Sounds of a Playground Fading album, and I think it was an interesting jump from A Sense of Purpose. You know, Sense of Purpose was the last album that Jesper Stromblad, founding member, played on, and he had sort of been kind of a want-away member, not from necessarily In Flames, but from music for a while. He was dealing with some personal issues, had to, you know, just get away. And I think Sounds of a Playground Fading was a nice step in the right direction. I'm interested in seeing what they do with Siren Charms.
100% agree. 100% agree. I mean, Jesper's done some cool stuff since then. I've checked out, what was the name of the project that he had?
Dimension Zero.
Yeah,
yes.
they wrote some cool songs, some really good traditional death metal songs. But yeah, from interviews I've watched with Anders, he basically said they just couldn't rely on Jesper to help with anything. He just wouldn't show up to studios. He'd just be gone. And I think their, you know, songwriting took a step in the right direction without him, as much as I hate to say it.
Well, he had to sort out some stuff, and he looks like he's done it, and they look like they're on the way to doing it. Again, Siren Charms, that comes out in September. On major label Epic Records.
Epic.
In Flames on a major label. The other big album announcement we saw this week, again, I don't think it's quite as far along as In Flames, but it would be Devin Townsend, Z2, the sequel to Ziltoid the Omniscient, one of our favorite Devin solo records. No release date set. It hasn't even I don't even think it started recording yet, but he released the full track listing for the double album, which is actually going to be one disc is going to be the next saga in the Ziltoid story, and another one is going to be a DTP, Devin Townsend Project album. It's going to be it's going to be a big year for Devin between that and Casualties coming out in May.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this because I was thinking I love the Devin Townsend project from start to finish, from Key all the way through, you know, Ghost, Epic Cloud, all of them. It's great, and I was curious as to what direction he would go in with the Z2, and I love the fact that it's like a double disc with Z2 and DTP on it. I'm really excited.
Yeah,
he's got some great song titles as well, I guess. You know, Ziltoid Goes Home, Ziltoidian Overture,
March of the Poozers, and let us not forget Untitled and Untitled, one of which is a lowercase u, one of which has an uppercase u,
and it's back to back.
Yes.
So, yeah, I don't know. That should be fun. That'll be a good time.
Yeah.
Good old Devin.
Devin albums always feel like, I don't know, they always feel like such an event to me. I mean, maybe that's just because like we're such big fans of him, but you know, between the crowdfunding campaign he did for Casualties of Cool, which hit like 200% funding in 12 hours, to this, you know, when he announced the double album and reportedly had written something like 70 songs worth of material for the Z2 album. He just keeps finding ways to build the anticipation for his new stuff.
Yeah,
and I think 2014 is just going to be a big year for Devin. So,
yep, and I will be enjoying his presence at Wacken. Had to slip it in there. Had to. Sorry.
Another opportunity for Corey to remind us all. Yes, he is going to the Wacken Festival this year.
Expect that a lot more frequently.
How many days do we have left? You counting down or?
We are officially. Well, I'll be in Europe.
We're under 100 days, aren't we?
We're under 100 days. Exactly 3 months from next Friday. Not this coming Friday, but the Friday after that, I will be in Munich, and then the festival is going to be 5 days after that. So we're about 95 days.
Exciting stuff.
If I make it back alive, great. Anywho.
Well, returning to Earth for a split second here. Next item in our news agenda is a bit of a funny one. We're going to go with Dave Mustaine.
Yes.
Number one seed in our dipshit bracket on the bracket.
Disappointed there, though. He disappointed there.
I know. He was beaten out by the Heath. But Dave Mustaine, dipshit bracket alumnus, excuse me, played a set with the San Diego Symphony Orchestra. a couple of days ago. I don't think there was any formal footage, but a number of fan filmed, cell phone video has emerged online. And did you get a chance to watch this at all? Because
I sure did, and it sounded
all kinds of bad.
I just can't wait to talk about this. It sounded like, I will give it credit. It sounded like that symphony could be quite talented, but they were just destroyed by some wanker on an electric guitar. It was awful. Yeah, it was awful.
Right, and I don't think that a metal guy playing classical themes with a symphony is inherently bad. Yngwie, Metallica. Well, I mean, they didn't play classical stuff, but Metallica played with a symphony on the S&M album, and it was wonderful.
Right.
But Dave is just sloppy.
Yeah.
Sticks out like a sore thumb because he is full electric, playing with a Marshall stack. He looks like an idiot, by the way. When you see all these classical musicians, and then he's just there with his half stack.
Right.
And they're playing intricate stuff. They played the Presto movement from Vivaldi's Four Seasons, and he was just nowhere near fit to keep up with them.
No.
It's funny. It's the exact same piece of music that Alexei and Ropa from Children of Bodom did in a YouTube clip a number of years ago, and they played it flawlessly.
Right.
Flawlessly. No bum notes, nothing. I mean, it was just wonderful. But then again, they are, talented instrumentalists.
Not Dave Mustaine.
Right.
Not
the guy who put out Super Collider.
This, still hasn't surpassed the first week of the Black Album. Anywho, I'm counting, by the way. It's up to 7 albums sold. This was supposed to be a symphony with Dave, and it would have been so much better if it was just this symphony. But, Dave being Dave, I guess. Fuck him.
Yeah. He's got to stick his nose in everything. He's an ass.
Yep.
Our final news story of the week, news from Gwar Camp. Gwar, actually, the surviving members of Gwar have launched the Dave Brockie Foundation, paying tribute to former frontman Dave Brockie, a.k.a. Odorous Arungus, who passed away on March 23rd.
Yep.
Very sad story, obviously, but it looks like they're trying to honor his legacy in a meaningful way. According to a press release, the foundation is a charity fund with the mission of promoting the advancement of music, images, letters, and performances in the arts. It will endeavor to encourage promising talents as well as preserving the legacy of Dave's body of work. It intends to be a support system to those who have dedicated their lives in pursuit of creativity.
Yep. I think it's great. I'm not sure if you actually watched that little video on it.
I did. Yes. They paid a nice tribute to it.
They really did. I enjoyed watching it. They haven't lost their sense of humor, and I think that's a good thing. That's definitely important, and I think this is great. I really do. For a band who, yes, the music was important, but the art, the visual aesthetic was just as important. Absolutely.
This is, I can't think of a better way to pay tribute.
Nope.
They also announced a public memorial service for this August in conjunction with their 5th annual Gwarbecue, which is still going on. Good for them.
Yeah.
Dave probably would have wanted it that way. So, again, the Dave Brockie Foundation sounds like it's going to be a pretty worthwhile endeavor.
Yep.
So
Odorous returned to his home planet, and we're carrying on his name the right way. So no arguments.
That we are. Anyway, sticking with the theme of new stuff coming out, let's talk about some new releases.
Yes.
This week.
Yes. Can we? I don't know if I want to start. I don't know which one. Okay, I'll put it this way. I don't know which one I'm more excited to talk about. There's one that was
folks. There were a couple of there were a number of albums that came out this week, but there were 2 in particular that stood out to us, and for polar opposite reasons.
Yes.
And when we name them, you will understand what they were.
All right.
In the red corner, we have Triptykon's Melana Chasmata.
Yeah.
In the blue corner, we have Emure's Eternal Enemies. Corey, which one should we go with first?
I'm gonna have so much fun talking about Emure, but I could talk about Triptykon forever. Let's start with Emure.
Let's start with Amir.
Just cause.
All right.
Just cause.
I
know we have.
Where do we begin here?
I'd kind of.
How many songs did you make it through?
I made it through 16 minutes, just over 4 songs, which I was actually not expecting to get that far through it. It was mostly because I was doing other things, and I just kind of forgot I was still playing when I got back to my computer. If I may be completely frank. So I wanna start with, I gave this album a 0.1 out of 5. Now there's one thing you need to know. For me, on the 0 to 5 scale, a 5 is infinite. It's perfection. It's the quintessential image of perfection, which I feel can't physically exist because there's no qualitative or quantitative definition of it. Same thing with the 0, except in the opposite direction. You can get infinitely close to it, but you can't actually reach it. There's no quantitative or qualitative definition.
That's fair.
This came close. Very, 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 very close.
To absolute 0.
Exactly, to absolute 0, something we can't even fathom mentally. This is the whiniest piece of crap I've ever had the displeasure to listen to. Frankie Palmieri, I can't handle you. I just can't do it. Something like he's a bitch. I mean, he's a bitch. Like,
as a lyricist, he's just abysmal. I mean, it sounds like you listen to these songs, and it sounds like this entire band is his personal vendetta against all the kids that used to kick his fat ass in high school.
And it sounds like they still are, which is good for them. I mean, that's exactly what I was going to say. He has like the lyrical content of like an angsty high school freshman. And frankly, an angsty high school freshman currently has more reason to be angsty than you do. So he just needs to shut the fuck up. Like, he really does.
A selection, an actual lyric from the album. I'm gonna quote word for word here. I am the realest motherfucker in the game. I see you faggots living perfect lives, selling all your bullshit. That's a lyric that Amir included on their album. So first off, realest motherfucker in the game. That definitely sounds like something you'd say as a deathcore frontman. But using the word faggots in a song.
I was going to say, I don't care how much you don't care what other people think or whatever. That's what the fuck is wrong with you, dude? Like, seriously.
Who are you, dude?
What the fuck is wrong with you? And he seems to be pushing the trend of, fuck you, I don't really care what you think. But guess what? When that's like the main crux of 90% of your songs, it's starting to become really apparent that you kind of do.
Yeah. Kind of
do. You're a little insecure there, bud. And you might want to think of some new concepts and some new ideas, because I just, not that I care. I mean, honestly, he's in luck with this whole not caring what people think about him, because I'm not going to provide the mental capacity to allow him to enter my brain or my thought processes. So, lucky you.
Well, and setting aside the lyrical content, I mean, this is just, it's chugging, repetitive deathcore shit. I mean, it's like song after song of potential soundtrack material for those old drive-by hardcore dancing videos.
It's funny. I made it through 16 minutes, which went by agonizingly slowly, and I honestly thought it was the same song the entire time. In fact, my first notes I wrote down here for this album were chug 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 chug. The musicianship is also just completely abysmal. There's not a single good thing about this album or them.
Well, see, I would argue the only good thing you can say is that it only lasts 45 minutes, but
great.
That is assuming you make it through all of it, which, spoiler alert, I didn't. I lasted a bit longer than you did. I got through 6 songs, but
longest.
I couldn't do it beyond that.
Longest 45 minutes of anybody's life.
I ended up scoring it. I think I gave it like a negative 325 out of 5.
You hit absolute 0 and kept going. Just keep going, guys.
It's the lowest scoring album. No, I mean, in actuality, I gave it a 0.08 out of 5.
Which rounds to 0.1.
Yeah, it is the lowest scoring album I've listened to this year by almost a full 3 points. This is just, if you like good music, then stay the fuck away from Amir.
Go the fuck home, bitch.
Tuesdays are no Amir Tuesdays.
All days are no Amir days.
Yeah.
Oh God. I don't know. We could go on for hours about these, about this stuff, but I just don't think it's worth it at this point.
Yeah, let's talk about something we actually both did enjoy, which of course would be Triptykon's second album, Melana Chasmata, which came out today. This is one hell of an album.
There have been some great reviews for this. Metal Sucks gave it a damn near perfect review. The highest review I've ever seen them give anything. I was a little skeptical about how good it would actually be. Just, lack of familiarity. When things are overhyped, I tend to get a little, I stay optimistic, but it's more of a caution that throws itself in there.
Right.
I picked up a Bull Moose last night, which I'll touch on later, at midnight for the release of it. It was only me there, of course, because, doom metal. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5, and it's pretty much everything I could want in doom metal. It's awesome. It's got great peaks and valleys. I mean, it starts off and just kicks you in the ass. Tree of Suffocating Souls is fucking cool.
It is ferocious.
It is.
It kicks off the album. I mean, I hate to use a cliche like this, but it really kicks off the album with a bang.
Yeah.
And then the very next track, you go into Boleskine House, which is quieter. It's more ominous.
I love it too.
Very, very sinister kind of sounding track, and there's a more diverse vocal performance too.
Yep. I am to follow up with that. Like the first time I gave this a once through, I got home at like 12:30, whatever. I wasn't the craziest about Tree of Suffocating Souls as an opener for it, but every time I went through the album since then, it grew on me a little bit more, and now it's just perfect. It really is. It's great. It's great. And when I say peaks and valleys, I mean there's like peaks and valleys like Van Viscar Sky Swallow, which are very deliberate, ground level, sea level to, Everest type things within a blink of an eye.
Mm-hmm.
This is more of like a rolling up and down roller coaster ride of an album, and, Tree of Suffocating Souls, as Dan mentioned, Boleskine House, and then Altar of Deceit and Breathing, followed by Aurora, which is kind of along the same lines as Boleskine House. It's great. It's awesome.
The juxtaposition between the heavier moments and the slower, moodier parts is just absolutely perfect. I mean, it's just they switch exactly when you need them to. It's just I mean, and here's the thing: it's a very long album, but it doesn't feel long.
Not even remotely. No.
Because of those moments.
Yeah.
The only exception to that, I would say, I think Black Snow, the longest song in the album, it's about 12.5 minutes long. I think that does start to drag a little bit.
Yep. I would agree.
But generally speaking, it's a very easy album to get through. It's rarely, if ever, boring.
Right.
And I think it's one of the best albums Tom G. Warrior has given us in his career. And this is a career that has also included Celtic Frost and Hellhammer and stuff like that.
A huge deal.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's great. Honestly, it's so dark and ominous. On top of all that, it really kind of makes you want to kick your own ass because it's almost that gritty, heavy edge to it. But it's just the depth of it is just incredible. I know he's going through like some crazy times emotionally when he wrote most of this, which he definitely comes through. I just think it's awesome. I wish it was coming out in like December when it's more dark and ominous of the time of year, because then it would just be the best thing ever. But I have no complaints about this. Again, 4.5 out of 5 easily.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for me. It's in the top 5 of my countdown so far this year. It's the second of 2 metal entries in my top 5, the other being Behemoth. So
yeah, it's right there. It's and you know how I feel about Behemoth. It's right there. We'll have to see. I'm basically my deciding factor is going to be which has more staying power the rest of the year for me. Because they are both phenomenal.
And they both have that potential.
Yep.
A couple of other releases we have in brief. We have an album called Sovereigns from the Belgian black metal band Enthroned. This is I listened to a bit of it. This is very straightforward black metal stuff, blast beats, searing, tremolo pick guitar riffs. It's grim, frostbitten, brutal, you name it. There's also there is a track on there called Land of Invisible Lights, which vaguely reminded me of the song Tyrants from Immortal.
Nice.
Which is one of my favorite Immortal tracks.
Absolutely.
So that bought him some goodwill in my book. Again, the album is called Sovereigns. After that, we have Gamma Ray's Empire of the Undead, their 11th album. Again, Gamma Ray is the German power metal band led by Kai Hansen. formerly of Halloween. It's
Halloween.
cheesy. It's got a very old school vibe, but that's because it's power metal. I mean, that's sort of a prerequisite, but it does have its occasional redeeming qualities. So that might be worth a listen if you're if you're willing to set up a private session on your Spotify or listen without anyone else in your apartment. And finally, not necessarily a new album, but a reissue. Black Sabbath released the box set of its complete 1970 to 78 studio albums. In other words, the first Ozzy Osbourne era studio albums. From Black Sabbath through Never Say Die. And that is actually on Spotify. Sharon Osbourne caved, and now we have some Black Sabbath on Spotify. It's a wonderful day.
Good for her for being, beyond 2000 in media production.
Oh man.
Oh well.
But anyway, speaking of Black Sabbath and speaking of reissues and looking back, let's go into our retrospective section. I know we had a couple of fun albums on our list this time. Again, the retrospective section, folks, is where Corey and I just listen to albums that have not come out in the past calendar year. They've kind of been hanging around for a while, but have just recently re-entered our radar screen and just hooked themselves on for whatever reason. I know I've got a good one, but Corey, why don't we start off with yours this week?
Yes, let's do that. My album that I went back to was Daath, The Hinderers.
Daath.
This is an album that means a lot to me for so many reasons. First of all, musically, I love it. I know Dan may have personal reservations about it because of his first experience with this album, which we'll get into.
We'll get into that.
But from a musical standpoint, I love this record. It's a brilliant combination of the technical death metal that I love, bands like Obscure, that kind of thing, and your more traditional melodic death metal. I think it's a great blend of the two. It's an Atlanta, Georgia-based band, so they are domestic. It's great. Kevin Talley doing his blast beats on drums. The two guitarists, Eli and Wurzler, are incredibly skilled technically. Or actually Levi and Wurzler, not Eli, whatever. I think it's great. I mean, it starts off with Subterfuge, which is pretty much a kick in the balls or ears.
It also kicked off one of our freshman year Saturday mornings in the balls.
Yes, it did.
Multiple kicks in the balls, in fact.
I'm pretty sure. Was it were there two or three of you passed out on my floor after a night out? I think it was.
Well, it was you. It was you and me. I think
Mike and Pearson were there too.
Kevin was there. Well, Mike lived in Bowling.
Man, that'd been dumb. Kevin
and Pearson.
Yeah.
Basically, all of our Alpha Sigma Satan contingent.
Right,
For those out there who don't know, Alpha Sigma Satan is our fake heavy metal fraternity that we started at Syracuse University. But yes, 100% of the Alpha Sigma Satan contingent at that time was crashing on Corey's floor. Waiting to wake up the following morning and go to watch Syracuse play Villanova in basketball.
And eventually invariably lose because that's what our basketball team does in games that matter. Anywho.
Especially that year.
Yeah, right.
That was an NIT year.
That was an NIT year. Next year's going to be an NIT year too, but never mind. My alarm clock at the time was Subterfuge, and my alarm clock at the time was Subterfuge's chorus. Your face is covered in wet my words without words, entangled in which I'm pretty sure I subjected Dan, Kevin, and Pearson to about 24 times that morning, over and over.
Yeah, there were quite a few snooze button hits. I think we had set the alarm for about 4.5 hours before tip off, and we ended up getting to the Carrier Dome
at halftime. I think
15 minutes after tip off. I think.
Yeah, we were approaching halftime for sure. We didn't quite make it. Anyway, that's. It's a good song. It really is. It's intense. It's about flaws in humanity, a lack of accountability on behalf of some cretins of human beings. The album covers. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say I'm with you. I have grown to appreciate this album. I think I have it on my iPod.
Yep.
And I'm with you. I mean, I do like the technical side. I do like the more traditional side. There are also some very noticeably dance-influenced moments on this album.
Dead on the dance floor.
Dead on the dance floor, which I'm pretty sure we busted out at a party at some point.
Probably Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
No, it's ridiculous. It does start off with like an almost like a KMDFM type of thing.
Yeah.
And it's groovy. It's groovy. And then you realize a song is basically just complete satire and just shitting on these people that go clubbing, and they're just like, you're all soulless cretins. And that's what the entire song's about. It's awesome. It's great. It's perfect.
Absolutely.
And then it closes with, I'm going to finish up. It closes with the Hinders, which basically just builds for like 2.5 minutes, and then there's like 2 minutes of lyrical content, and I think it's the best song on the album. But good listen. I recommend it. Came out back in like 2007. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah. How did you come across them, by the way, just out of curiosity?
I was going to actually mention this. I saw them at Ozfest back when that was a thing.
I was going to say, wow.
Way back in 2007, back when I was still in high school. And
Blast from the Past. Was that the same one you met Lordy at?
That was the same one I met Lordy at. And it was the same one I met Daath at, actually. That was the first time I met Kevin Talley. At this point, I've met him like 7 times. He's signed about everything I own. But whatever. He's a good drummer. They played, I think it was right after Behemoth, actually, and they played a great set, and Sean Farber, no longer in the band, told a story about how him and his bandmates one day at Berklee College of Music down in Boston were eating lunch in the caf. They were eating lunch with a professor who basically said he wasn't going to teach them anymore because they frowned upon their style of music. So they proceeded to stand on top of said lunchroom floor, take a piss all over the teacher's food, and then walk out. And then Daath was born. That was the story he told me, and then I proceeded to buy their CD immediately. He's no longer in the band, though. He's been replaced with Sean Z, who since then they've come up with the Concealers and the self-titled album, which are not as good. So I'm going to stick with the Hinderers as far as the look back album of the day.
The Hinderers it is. Awesome.
Indeed.
I'm looking at a bit more recent. My album was from 2011, and it was David Comes to Life by the Canadian hardcore punk band Fucked Up. Mm-hmm. It's a tremendous album. I mean, it picked up a ton of year-end acclaim, and it's actually a concept album. It tells the story of David, a light bulb factory worker in England, who falls in love with this activist named Veronica. They build a bomb together as some form of protest, and then from there it just all goes wrong. Veronica dies. David finds himself to be a part of this much larger plot. I can't really go into it too much more, because I don't want to spoil it, but it's a very interesting story, and the album itself is just tremendous. It's heavy as all hell, but also really catchy. It brings in, it takes a hardcore punk palette and it brings in elements of power pop and just really bright melodic elements. It's a nice sort of blend with, the grandiosity of a rock opera with the no bullshit DIY bare bones punk rock approach. And it blends those two really well. It's a fun listen. I've gone on to see Fucked Up twice since then. They actually have a new album coming out in June, which I'm thrilled about. But they are just a hell of a fun band. It's, the singer Damien is just, he's so funny because he's, when you see him on stage, he's just this big teddy bear, and he's like, always hugging people in the audience and like bantering with them and stuff like that. But then you hear his voice and he's like a lion, dude. He's just his growl is just very throaty and intense. Dig it. It's David Comes to Life by Fucked Up, my personal favorite album of 2011, and not totally metal, but I think it's heavy enough to be featured on Horns Up. So
just to follow up with that precise statement, I actually, believe it or not, gave this album a listen not too long ago, earlier this evening. I enjoyed it. It was extremely upbeat, but his voice was just, like you said, was just so aggressive. I was really into it. I thought it was great, start to finish. I didn't, read too much into the concept behind the album all that much, but just taking it bare bones, start to finish, once through, it was awesome. It was, I could definitely get into that. That was good stuff. Good suggestion there.
Yeah, definitely. Very much looking forward. Again, they have a new album coming out in June. Very much looking forward to that. So that's retrospective. From here, in light of our recent conversations about Triptykon, why don't we move into our subgenre of the week, shall we?
Subgenre of the week, absolutely. And we promise it's not going to be porno grind or glam metal this time. Maybe.
You're all so disappointed about that. I can tell.
All of the porno grind belongs to Mother.
But at any rate, our subgenre of the week this week, as I mentioned, because of Triptykon, is going to be doom metal. Doom metal is it's an extreme form of heavy metal characterized by slower tempos, thicker, heavier sound than many other subgenres you see, down-tuned instruments, and an overwhelming sense of just despair and dread in that evoked by both the musical and the lyrical content.
It's great.
Triptykon would be a perfect example of that. If you listen to Melana Chasmata, you'll hear it.
It's, like I said, everything I could want in a doom metal album. So
yeah. Of course, the primary inspiration for doom metal was Black Sabbath. Of course, started with them in the '70s, and it's sort of expanded pretty widely since then. Around the UK and Europe, you have bands like Cathedral, Candlemass, but there's been a number of different bands spring up here in the US. We're talking Pentagram, we're talking The Obsessed, even those southern guys. The sludge metal has influence from doom, bands like Down and stuff like that. You can definitely hear a doom metal influence.
Down.
And there's also a variety of subgenres, aren't there?
There are
within doom metal.
Yeah, I mean, you can get into like the more sludgy stuff, which is some of my personal favorite as far as subgenre of doom metal goes. A great local band here, and for the record, they do have a track that's going to be on this week's podcast for the subgenre of the week. Vadnet Viskar, Fog of Apathy, off of the most recent Sky Swallower album. This is I think I already mentioned this album earlier today, actually. But yeah, that falls into more of the sludgy type doom metal, which at times is more upbeat. It's just very, very gallopy, which is kind of cool.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, I whether it's funeral doom or epic doom or basically take another subgenre of metal and add doom to the end of it, and
that's how these things work.
There's sure to be a couple of bands that fit the bill, so to speak.
Right.
In fact, I think what I think is funny is Candlemass, their debut album way back in 1986 was actually called Epicus Doomicus Metallicus.
That's just all
epic
doom metal. Yeah. Because you get
Candlemass, who we will be seeing at MDF this year.
Also true.
Which
also true.
I'm very excited about. That's a Sunday gig.
Nice.
But yeah. So your 5 songs, I know you mentioned we are going to be putting together a Spotify playlist on this. Your 5 songs, what would you what did you throw in there?
Well, I threw in Vadnet Viskar's.
Vadnet Viskar.
Yeah, I threw in Vadnet Viskar's Fog of Apathy. And I think I actually took this whole 5-song thing a little bit differently than you did. I didn't stick with too much of a traditional doom metal type sound here. I did include a song from Triptykon's Melana Chasmata. I threw Boleskin House on there because it's my favorite song, and I think it really is a very doom metal type song. I also threw on some Evoken, the New Jersey-based doom metal band, Descended to Chaotic Dream, which is just a 10 to 11 minute long depression fest. You'll probably end up killing yourself before the song's over, which is awesome.
Doom metal!
Doom metal. I included a song by Woods of Ypres, actually, who took a more doom metal approach later in their, I guess you could say, career as a band. A song called Traveling Alone, which came out in 2012. Some know that Dave, the frontman David, has passed away at this point, so they're unfortunately no longer a thing, but they put out some pretty awesome stuff, at least in my opinion, in their later days, so I had to include some of that. And finally, a CD I've been going back to recently. I've been going back to it because I just bought it. Go me. A Pale Horse Named Death's Day of the Storm. This is a really interesting album. It's off of Lay My Soul to Waste. And this song is crazy, or this album is crazy. It's got some high moments, it's got some low moments. This song is definitely more doom metal, but all their songs have a little bit like a southern flair to them, which is kind of interesting, even though they're from Brooklyn. Anyway, that's the one I went with as my final pick. Day of the Storm, Pale Horse Named Death. Yeah, good stuff. And you?
Very nice, very nice. Well, as you mentioned, I did sort of a more traditional approach to doom metal. I took some stuff from Candlemass. I took At the Gallows End, which is from Nightfall, their first album with the legendary vocalist Messiah Marcolin. And yeah, just everything you'd want from a doom metal track. It's about almost 6 minutes long. It's heavy as hell. It's it's got those haunting clean vocals over top. Just wonderful stuff. From there, I went to some Pentagram. We've got Evil Seed on there. Cathedral's Equilibrium. Saint Vitus, the War Starter. Saint Vitus, of course, frontman Wino, Scott Weinrich, who we saw at MDF last year playing with his other band, The Obsessed. And finally, The Originator. We went with Black Sabbath's self-titled song from the self-titled album, Black Sabbath. It's just, it's one of those what can you say moments, it is the precursor to doom metal. Which is interesting. I like the like that I went with more of a traditional feel. You've sort of expanded its borders, stuff like that. So yeah, again, we will be posting the Spotify list for all you listeners out there. I can't even say that with a straight face. All you listeners out there.
Oh, that's so harsh. And I'm going to go listen to doom metal because of that statement later.
That's wishful thinking.
I would have been pretty disappointed if neither of us put a Black Sabbath song on there. We had to at least cover that at least once.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
But again, I'm going to be putting that together. We'll have a link at some point, and yeah, you can immerse yourselves in doom metal. So with that, I guess all we have left is our favorite segment, Horns Up, Horns Down. Again, for those who may not have listened to our first episode, who aren't familiar, Horns Up, Horns Down is where Corey and I just go into something. It may not even be musical, but we just go into something that has made us happy this week, which would be Horns Up, and something that has just kind of pissed us off this week. Obviously, Horns Down. Let's start off with our Horns Up. Corey, what do you got this week?
That's a great idea. Let's start with Horns Up because my Horns Down is going to require a bit of a rant. My Horns Up is. Well,
I've got some stuff to contribute to your Horns Down too, so don't
I know
you
do. It's gonna be great. And it's actually going to fall through with a potential. We'll get into that later. I'm not going to go there. My Horns Up is Record Store Day. Record Store Day being it's awesome. It's the third Sunday of every April. It only goes back to 2008, which was actually we were at the first one down at Soundgarden in Syracuse,
which I didn't realize. I was kind of thinking it had gone on far beyond that.
Yeah, weren't we just kind of like, oh, Record Store Day is a thing. Let's go walk to let's go walk down to Soundgarden. Yeah, it's great.
I remember buying a record. I remember buying a record I am less than proud to have bought. Yeah, to have spent actual money on at that Record Store Day.
Pretty sure I did too. I think I walked out of there with actually, what did I buy that day? I bought something. It might have been
I bought Gym Class Heroes, so there is nothing you can say that is more embarrassing than that.
That sucks. Ladies and gentlemen, Horns Up now has a single host because I didn't buy Gym Class Heroes.
I'm imposing self-banishment on myself.
Self-banishment. Oh God. Anywho, so this is something I celebrate every week, but also every year. So I encourage everybody to get out, be like me for a day, buy a friggin' CD, instead of downloading everything, because guess what? Some artwork is kind of cool. And also because this whole thing was started by my local record shop, Bull Moose, where I happened to be last night we're happened to be between 12 and 1 a.m. last night, for Triptykon. They're cool guys. They're my buds. They started this whole deal apparently when I was off yonder in the grim Syracuse cold. Yes, and I do mean the third Sunday of April. Still grim Syracuse cold, of course.
Of course, it doesn't really you don't really get anything other than grim cold in Syracuse until about May, mid-May,
and then you go home for summer break.
Yeah.
What the fucking difference does it make? No, but seriously, there's usually a lot of cool free giveaways, some fairly unique releases by a lot of artists and musicians. It's worth checking out, if nothing else, than for some free swag. So
it's become a big deal, yeah. And I've been disappointed. I gotta, because obviously I've been to Bull Moose a number of times. I think we stop in pretty much any time I come up to visit you up there.
For sure.
Obviously we went to Soundgarden in Syracuse, but I have yet, and I know they're out there, here in New York. I have yet to find a record store that I really would want to go to every day, the way I used to want to go to Soundgarden every day, and I used to, and I would hypothetically want to go to Bull Moose every day if I lived in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I gotta sort that out. I gotta figure it out because Record Store Day is this weekend, and there is Rough Trade, which just opened up in Williamsburg.
Nice.
But number one, it's Williamsburg, and number two, like Rough Trade is independent the same way that, I don't know, Lindsay Lohan is a good actress. Like, it doesn't really fit. You can't really say that with a straight face. I mean, Rough Trade is an institution at this point. It's got its own record label attached to it.
Meh.
I mean, come on now.
Meh.
But I'll keep searching.
Yeah.
I got till Saturday. I'll find my record store of choice here in the city.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Is it Saturday or Sunday?
I think it's Saturday. It's
right.
The 19th.
Well, I fucked that whole thing up. It's Saturday, not Sunday. Don't listen to me. I'm dumb. Anyhow.
Yep.
Anywho.
One step closer to redemption for Dan. for Gym Class Heroes.
Ladies and gentlemen, there are no hosts of Horns Up. Enjoy Dead Air for an hour each week.
Just like your radio show on Halloween freshman year. My Horns Up, it's actually especially timely today. I was my horns down last week. I was very down on soccer, but my English team, Arsenal, after a couple of good results in a row, or I don't know if I'd call them good results, but a couple of results in a row. That has put me. It's put me back into the horns up side. It's given me it's cast Arsenal in a new light in my eyes. They were on a streak of ESPN just tweeted this out during the game against West Ham. When we took the lead 2-1, it was the first time we had taken a lead in regulation in 355 minutes.
Wow.
Which is almost 4 full matches.
Yeah.
It's bad. But again, we beat West Ham in the Premier League to jump back into 4th place. And before that, over the weekend, we knocked off the last season's FA Cup holders, Wigan Athletic, in the semifinals of the FA Cup. We're moving on to the finals, and we're playing Hull City. It's a good chance. It's our best chance at ending our trophy drought, our 9-year trophy drought. I won't pretend that there weren't more than their fair share of nervy moments over these couple of games, but ultimately we're getting the results. As an Arsenal fan, I am very pleased, and horns up material.
Yeah, that's legit. Meanwhile, my club can't seem to win a domestic game anymore. We get Real Madrid next week, so you'll be hearing from me about that later.
You've already wrapped up the Bundesliga. What does it matter if you lose a couple games?
I don't like losing.
That's someone was saying a lot of questions being leveled at Barca's new manager. I forget his name. I can't remember it for the life of me. But Barca's in 3rd place. Never mind the fact that they won every fucking thing under the sun for 3 years in a row.
Right.
They're in 3rd place, and it's like the end of the world. God forbid both Real and Atletico finish ahead of them.
Exactly.
These standards are just absolutely absurd in Europe these days. But yeah, Arsenal hopefully back on the right track. That's my horns up. I'll go into my horns down right now because I want to talk about yours at the very end. I want yours to be our final segment.
I would totally agree with that. So what do you got?
My horns down for this week is patent trolls, which is sort of a random thing to bring up, I know, but inspired by something that directly affects us, Horns Up, and several other podcasts that we listen to and enjoy on a regular basis. A patent troll, by definition, is a person or group who tries to enforce patent rights against infringers in an attempt to collect fees, but who doesn't actually produce any product or technology related to that patent. Normally, you see patent suits filed between corporations, but this particular one, the lawsuit that has inspired my horns down, is one that affects everyday people. And it's for a medium off of which most people are making zero money. That is, of course, the patent suit that Adam Carolla, formerly of The Man Show, of Loveline with Dr. Drew, is facing from a group that calls themselves Personal Audio. Personal Audio is claiming that its patent for a quote, system of disseminating media content representing episodes in a serialized sequence applies to podcasting. Basically, Personal Audio is saying that the ability to list episodes in order, which you do in a podcast is run through an RSS feed. You sequence your episodes in order. They are numbered.
Right.
It applies to podcasting, and that anyone who does this, which is literally every podcaster, owes them a licensing fee. And they've chosen to go after Adam Carolla. It's a big suit, but he is the highest profile party named in the suit. And it's ridiculous. It's over. It'd be like the equivalent, for you, Corey, as an example, it'd be like if you were to buy a patent for a particular step in the fermentation process for beer.
Yep.
And then claim that anyone who makes beer is infringing on your patent.
It's pathetic. It's actually pathetic. It's like you said, it impacts us. It impacts people that listen. It impacts people that use this stuff for entertainment. There's nothing to be gained from it. Nobody's out to be a dick with this stuff. Yeah, exactly like you said. I'm sorry. I don't need to pay more than $6 a beer at a bar anymore. That's fucking horseshit.
Right. And the thing is like this is incredible. It's incredibly far reaching because under that logic, under their argument, I mean, podcasting would just be the tip of the iceberg.
Absolutely.
Any sort of online video streaming, anything that presents episodic content in a particular order, Netflix would be fucked.
Yep.
Hulu would be fucked. You name it.
Which is why I'm cautiously optimistic because there's so many different forms of media under that umbrella. Impacts so much. Like I said, it's not just podcasting. It's so many different means of entertainment, and it'd be really, really freaking shitty. Fingers crossed, but I think it'll come to pass in time. But yeah,
you hope so.
It's got to be on the radar, though. It really does.
Yeah. And Adam Carolla is actually, he's started a crowdfunding campaign for his legal fees. He's challenging this. He's not going to pay Personal Audio, or at least he's going to give him a hell of a fight.
Yep.
He set up a crowdfunding campaign on fundanything.com. If you go there, you'll see right on the front page, you'll see Patent Troll Campaign. That's his. Donate, help him raise money for his legal fees. They've done a ton of benefits. But lawyers are expensive. So get the word out, donate if you can. I've already donated, because this is a medium that I appreciate and
Absolutely.
that we've obviously gotten a good deal of enjoyment out of. It's not like we're trying to make money off of it. We just want to do something we enjoy. And that's what 95% of podcasters out there, I would venture to say, are getting out of it.
Just trying to share a common interest and some opinions, and there should be no harm. There should be no charge to do so in a free-speaking country. So, fuck you guys, and Adam Carolla, you're a good guy. So, thank you.
I don't even like his comedy most of the time, but he's fighting a good fight right here. Again, fundanything.com, click on the Patent Troll campaign, donate. Let's help him beat these patent trolls. Anyway, less serious topics. Corey, what is your horns down?
Less serious, he says. Oof. My horns down this week, and it only came in because of all the announcements I've seen in the past couple weeks. but they're not so metal festivals. I picked 3 to kind of go over in detail here. They are Rockstar Mayhem Fest, New England Metal and Hardcore Fest, and to a lesser extent, Grass Pop Metal Meeting. To start with New England Metal and Hardcore Festival,
I wanted to call this the New England Periods and Pregnancy Festival.
It's
personally.
There are 68 bands in this thing. 68 bands. That's impressive. That's a lot of bands. And and for the record, for those that aren't aware, this is hosted in the Palladium in Worcester, which is a fairly small venue. Like they'll easily sell out band like, it's pretty much metal only, but now it's like metal and what I consider dog shit as the other alternative genre that they have played there. But it's mostly
as evidenced by the New England Metal and Hardcore Festival.
Bingo. So 68 bands, and as I think as Dan pointed out once earlier, out of those 68, there are 3 he would be actually willing to see. If you factor out the ones I have seen and really don't want to sit through again to get to the ones I actually want to see, I have exactly 1. And that one is, of course, Behemoth, who headlines this coming Friday at 10:40.
Did you get your tickets yet? Or are you going?
No, I can't. This is why I'm talking about this, because I can't. It's fucking bullshit, Dan. It's bullshit.
Using horns down to try and rationalize your concert ticket decision. God damn it, Corey.
Well, I'm gonna
take your personal problems elsewhere.
No, this is a public problem. Nobody wants to go see Behemoth and have that preceded by Whitechapel, the Acacia Strain, and Diarda's Murder, and that is a fact. So those that actually, we're also talking like, I don't know. Let's just take a look at it. There's some weird
some other headliners, and I took a look at it. Some other headliners included All That Remains,
our favorite hating thing.
All That Remains, Bleeding Through. I think you mentioned Whitechapel. Like, it's just not anything that I would have any interest in seeing.
No, it's not.
my count, bands that I would be willing and semi-interested to see would be Behemoth, Nile.
Nile is good.
Inquisition.
Yeah, Nile is good.
Yeah.
So
and Inquisition, I'm nuts about, but we're seeing them at MDF.
Right. So no big shit there. I mean, I'll probably end up going since they actually provide times on this thing, and I know I don't have to show up till 10:45. That helps me a lot because fuck Whitechapel, fuck them right in all of the holes. So that's one. The next one I want to talk about is just a mind-blowing sense of confusion to me. This is the main one I want to hit on. This is Rockstar Mayhem Fest. Same Rockstar Mayhem Fest I've seen Slayer and Behemoth at. Rockstar Mayhem Fest, they're headliners.
Let's hear it.
I am gonna
give the people what they want.
Here
what they
it comes. Avenged Sevenfold, Asking Alexandria, Korn, Trivium, Mushroomhead, Miss May I, Body Count
with Ice-T.
Suicide Silence, and then their one saving grace, which is barely a saving grace and isn't really a saving grace, Cannibal Corpse. Also, Emir.
It says something when Cannibal Corpse is the best band on your bill by like a country mile.
These bands are fucking terrible. They're so bad. I mean, we got the Backwards R in Korn. We've got Avenged Sevenfold. These are all bands that were significantly on our dipshit bracket as far as bands go.
Dipshit bracket runner-up, Matt Heafy and Trivium.
Emir? How many times are they going to start going? Stop going to these festivals. Why do people keep filleting Emir? They're terrible. God damn it. So that's Rockstar Mayhem Fest 2014, people.
Yeah.
So that's.
I can pretty safely say I won't be shelling out for that one.
Yeah, I went last year because I got like pretty much a free ticket, and so things like Bodum and Monomarth and Mastodon were decent at best. Anyway, that's Rockstar Mayhem 2014 again. That's
How did they take such a leap backwards on
I don't know. I don't. I'm so confused by it. It's god awful. And I hope to God it's on a statement of where or the bands that younger and current metalheads want to see live. Because if so, shame on you. Shame on you. You're the reason I hate life. Anywho, that might be a little drastic, but only a little. Anywho, the last is Grass Pop Metal Meeting. Again, doesn't necessarily belong on this list because of some of the bands that are there. We're talking, Behemoth and Black Sabbath and Carcass and Candlemass. Dark Tranquillity is going to be there. Enslaved is going to be there. Elevati is going to be there. Ghost. So there's some good
Ghost
bands.
Ghost is always fun to see live.
Yeah, Mastodon. So there's some Opeth.
But look at two of the three main stage headliners. You have Avenged Sevenfold and Volbeat.
Yeah, you do have Avenged Sevenfold and Volbeat, and you also have Alter Bridge. I don't really whatever.
You also have on the second main stage you have Limp Bizkit and Trivium co-headlining Saturday. You have Megadeth and Rob Zombie co-headlining Sunday.
And guess who plays before Megadeth and Rob Zombie? Hatebreed, Bring Me the Horizon, Suicide Silence.
And Power Man 5000. Don't forget about that.
And most importantly, Power Man 5000. and then
Marquee stage is probably the best.
It
top
is.
To bottom.
Opeth on Friday will be opened by Watain, Triptykon, Candlemass, Napalm Death, Solstice of Fear, and November Zoom. That's actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
But then you get to I don't know. Let's see. Who else is even here? Emir's here. Emir again.
Emir and Buckcherry on the same stage.
Really? I mean, Protest the Hero. We all know how I feel about Protest the Hero. They're terrible.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
Unequivocally.
So the good bands, really shitty bands. But I had to at least mention the fact that, Graspop Metal Meaning will include the likes of Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
And Hatebreed.
It's really frustrating because there are a couple combinations that I just think will be really cool. Like
Absolutely.
Sunday main stage you have Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. You get a little bit of a Seattle revival going there. Friday you have Steel Panther and Ghost playing back to back on the main stage.
Right. Anybody on Marquee before Opeth is going to be awesome.
Right. Exactly. Meshuggah headlining, Carcass headlining different Saturday and Sunday on the Marquee stage, but then you offset that with Of Mice and Men,
right.
Miss May I,
right.
Bring Me the Horizon. It's just what are you doing?
Right, and I do get it. There are only so many bands out there that every metalhead will like. In fact, there aren't that many that say for example. Me, I'm not gonna obviously like some subgenres of metal, and to find a bunch of bands that you expect 30, 40,000 people to show up for is not the easiest task in the world. But fuck you, Vakken sells out every year in about 2 days, so figure it out. God, it's just, I don't know. It's,
whatever. We've got MDF.
Yeah,
we've got
we
MDF.
Do.
That is what I'm excited about.
That's some good bands there.
The only thing that bothers me is that Triptykon is playing on Thursday night, and
I know.
I've got Friday off, but I'm not. I couldn't take Thursday off instead. Had I known how much I was going to enjoy that album,
take a half day.
I might have tried.
Puke in a trash can. Go home sick.
I mean, dude, I am leaving early, but I'm
going down Friday, and if I can make that somehow and it hasn't sold out, I'm fucking there in a heartbeat because it's this album and stuff.
Yeah.
We'll to see.
We'll see. But that is for another day. That is for definitely metal festivals. Most certainly not so metal festivals.
Right.
But this has been Horns Up, Horns Down. And that'll about do it for the week. Another episode in the bag. Any final thoughts on events that have transpired tonight?
The only thing I'm going to say to close out of here is I'm going to go buy a Behemoth ticket and pretend it's not part of New England Hardcore Metal Festival.
It's a safe space.
Safe space.
You can, yeah, we won't judge you for it.
I'll judge me for
it. But, yeah, I'm going to probably go back and listen to Melana Chasmata again. Because what an album. At any rate, this has been episode 2 of Horns Up. We will hopefully have some updates as far as a corresponding website for Horns Up. Maybe even get us on iTunes at some point. For now, you're just going to have to deal with this YouTube stuff. But hey, it's only episode 2. At any rate, for Corey Butterworth, I am your host, Dan Kaplan, and check back next week for episode 3. Talk to you then.